They put an X next to it.
Okay, zoning board, we are live. We are recording. Phone lines are opened. Go for it.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Zoning Board of Appeals on September 23rd, 2025. I'm here to let you know the first two public hearings have been canceled. That of Alan Manicherian, 11 Ocean Lane in Amagansett, and Patrick Brennan, 48 Agnew Avenue in Montauk. So we'll move on to the next scheduled public hearing, which is Janice Wilson, 1 Gladstone Place, Montauk. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-19-2-50.3. Size and location is a 20,554 square foot lot. Description is to allow a parcel to remain 2,064 square feet over the allowable clearing limits of the Water Recharge Overlay District. Relief sought is one variance from 255-365 of the Town Code is required to allow 12,064 square feet of clearing to remain where 10,000 square feet is the maximum allowable, and any other relief necessary. Zoning district is an A residence zone, X flood zone. The secret type is type 1. Council, is the affidavit of service and posting in order?
Yes, I reviewed the affidavits of notice and posting, and everything seems to be in order, and the board has jurisdiction over this hearing.
Thank you. Member Berger, do you have a field inspection?
Yes, I do. Okay, this is there were two notices on this. This was the one on immediately in fronting the driveway at Gladstone. Next, well, I just turned before I went to the other posting, and this shows the parking area. It's an extensive parking area and the attached garage there. Next, this was the other notice. There's a paper road or closed street, Garrett Place, and this is the notice that was posted over there. Next. And it's just a shot of the dirt road showing it going up. And next. Now I'm back in the driveway, and I'm looking toward the right, and you can see the two gardens that are noted on the survey there. There are a lot of gardens on this property. Next. This is a shot from behind those two gardens, shooting up the side of the house, and about halfway up there is where the survey shows revegetation starting, and then it's going to follow up the property. Next, this is just, okay, now I'm not behind the gardens, and just shooting the entire length of the house from the south side up toward the north. Next, north. It says farther up, you can see the generator, which is mentioned in the TAM, and the garden areas beyond that. And with the revegetation being proposed to the, I guess it's north and east of that whole area running down. Next. It's just a closer view of that same area behind the northernmost garden that's there. Shows some of the other vegetation. Next. And now I turned around and I'm facing toward the south end, back toward the driveway side, and just taking another view of the other side of the house. And next. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Member Berger, is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the application? Can I swear you in?
Please.
Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you for identifying yourself.
Thank you. My name is Janice Shearer. I am representing Janice Wilson. Coincidentally, we're both Janices. I'm here tonight to go over the 5 standards for the variance and just to give a little bit of background. Just by way of introduction, I am a town planner. I've been the town planning and development administrator for Southampton for, I'm there now 22 years, but for the past 5. And I do have some environmental background, so we're very aware of the need to maintain the water recharge overlay standards. However, we just want to talk about the subject case here. It's related to the initial building interpretation that the installation of this small generator, which, as you saw by the pictures, is not very large, it didn't require any clearing whatsoever. It now necessitates the homeowner to revegetate her property to meet those standards of 10,000 square feet, where she's a bit over cleared. The property, as you know, is located at 1 Gladstone Place in Montauk, and this property originates from an old filed map. So that map was the map of the Montauk Beach Development Corporation. So it's actually 2 1/4 acre lots, Lot 9 and part of Lot 8 in Block 204, subdivision number 8, in the map filed May 6th of 1927. So that parcel has pre-existing non-conforming status by way of the fact that it is from an old file map. And the applicant maintains that the vegetation on the property is largely the same as when she purchased it. And the house was built, it's a modest house. It's only 1,746 square feet. And she's only clearing, only areas are those vegetable gardens. The zoning does allow for 20% coverage, which would allow for a structure much larger than what she has, 4,110 square feet coverage, which she does not intend to build. Everything is just largely staying the same. So really, I'm just going to go back to those standards now and say that, we did read the planning report. She's amenable to restoring some part of the property.
How much? Do you know how much?
Well, there was some confusion in the report. There was a map that was given that showed like kind of a blurry aerial with some markings from GIS that was given to her, and that said it was cleared in 1994 at 13,000 square feet. This code, the water recharge overlay, went into effect in 1984. There's no aerials from that time. Janice says that her lot was basically the way, she didn't do any additional clearing other than for the house itself and then the gardens. And you can see the significant vegetation on the property. So we are asking for the benefit of, maintaining that clearing, but if it were to be, like a grassland meadow, like we were admiring here in the front of your town hall, then she could do like 1,300 some odd square feet, which would be the difference between this aerial with the benefit of 1994 and 84. It gets a little confusing in the report to me. But I would say, I'll go through the standards and then I have a request. But anyway, so there was a building permit issued when her house was built, building permit 30873, and then CO was issued in 1993 for the construction of this house. They were not issued in error, and this was all the conditions that remain to this day. In order to grant the area variance requested, the zoning board obviously needs to take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. And that the applicant must demonstrate the variances meet the standards. So the benefit here in granting the variance would be great. The cost, she was quoted to professionally revegetate with large trees and shrubs, even if a small portion, was $7 to $10 a square foot, which would be $28,000. The applicant, maintains her property immaculately and has not made any additions and expansions other than the placement of this small subject generator, which I submitted a picture, and you saw it in the pictures, due to her husband's failing health and need for oxygen. The generator was installed pursuant to a permit. The overclearing is really related to the small vegetable and raspberry gardens, which keep her active on the weekends. And these gardens add value to the character of the neighborhood and do not have an impact to the aquifer or any recharge. It is our contention that the granting of the variance will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties. The lot has been improved and not overdeveloped, paved over. You saw the small, modest brick patio, even that has recharge, and the house has not reached anywhere close to the maximum coverage. It has not been stripped of vegetation or any accessory structures or ornamental lawn decorations. There is no detriment to the neighborhood in granting the variance since the property is well maintained and used in conformance with residential zone. The benefit, now here's where the benefit could be achieved by some other method, and here's what I would say. And that is this interpretation that a variance for this clearing is even needed. I mean, if she received a permit for the generator, does this small generator rise to the level of having to revegetate? You know, I mean, I would kind of save that for like if someone was, you know, bought the parcel, wants to rebuild a new house or something along those lines. But I mean, we're talking about the nexus between a small generator and then like the burden of revegetating the whole
But if I
parcel.
may, I mean, I understand what you just said, but the bigger issue for me is the fact that it's in a water recharge overlay district.
Right. So,
And we're charged with continuing to maintain the purity of the groundwater supply and the sources of our drinking water. So I understand what you're saying, but as a board member myself, anything more in terms of revegetation that you could add would be a plus.
sure. And that's understandable. However, the condition it is today and the de minimis amount of clearing that we're talking about could not rise to the, you know, it would be hard to say that it's going to. What the condition is right now today is just as advantageous to the aquifer as putting in more trees or anything else, because there's no structure taking the place of the recharge, right? It's usually the coverage that causes the problem, like the paving or the structures, those inhibit the recharge. But you're talking about, you know, a garden versus a grassland or any other kind of revegetation. So I would submit that it's sort of the same thing that we're talking about. But so that is the benefit there would be if, you know, if you'd rather go that, but it does ask if there's any other method feasible to pursue other than this variance. And I would say the only other way is to grant a variance from this determination under 255-850A1, which is that determination that generator kicked into the need to revegetate back to a standard that was non-conforming in the first place. So that's just that answer. And then that obviously would be a type 2 action. The generator is a type 2 action and you wouldn't have to worry about it. So
Does the board have any questions?
I didn't just finish the
Oh,
last
okay, I'm
part.
sorry, I thought you were done.
That's okay. So if you don't agree with that, then the benefit sought cannot be achieved by some other method feasible to pursue other than this area variance, since the lot is slightly overcleared. Additionally, the variance sought is not substantial, particularly under the facts and circumstances where the only overclearing is the result of 2 small organic gardens. The granting of the variance will not have an adverse effect on the impact of the physical or environmental conditions within the neighborhood. Requires, you know, it does not have an environmental impact, and the difficulty she contends is not self-created because that lot had patchy, it wasn't like a forested woodland, even when she bought it, and since, you know, she's known of it in 1993. If you were to say it was self-created because she did plant the gardens, you know, the self-created hardship in and of itself is not a basis to deny the application. However, we're happy to do the small amount of revegetation if that is the will of the board. She's offering to do 1,313 square feet, and that's depicted on the survey. And we're here for any questions or comments. Thank
When
you.
we're looking at the survey,
Board members.
Okay, the survey we're looking at is June 14th, 2024, revised with this proposed revegetation. So you're okay with the revegetation as it shows on the screen in that area?
We don't know what it says in the report. It has to go to natural resources, so she's not really sure what that entails. If we're talking about huge caliber trees, that might not be economically feasible. If we're talking about a
Not
grassland
likely it would
meadow,
be
then that's fine.
Caliper. Not- Okay, but is there any additional you're offering now when you say 1,000 feet?
No, it's one, when this number that I'm telling you, 1,313 square feet, is the difference between the aerial given to us by the town and the amount, that's been cleared.
But
10,000.
You have to speak at the microphone. You have to speak at the microphone. No,
10,000 square feet is what's required from the water recharge overlay district. The,
that we know.
yeah,
Right.
And you're at almost 13 now.
yeah,
And so you're offering at 1,300, which is going to bring you down to being still 1,000 feet over.
correct. And that's the subject of this variance. So it's somewhat of a
Let
compromise.
me just ask you a question. You've been saying
let-
something
let
about the caliber of the planting. Have you been in discussion with the planning department about what we typically do here?
Could you identify yourself and I'll have to swear you in?
Dennis Wilson, the owner of the property on
Do
Gladstone.
you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Continue.
2254, right?
Right.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
No, I've had no discussion about trees or anything like that.
So that might clear a little bit up about the conversation that you're entering into with us, saying we're not sure about the caliber of the trees. The typical replanting is not necessarily what you think it is, and you really have to enter into discussion with the
I
planning
would be
board,
very happy to even not,
planning department.
whatever. I mean, the rain garden and the gardens that you have outside would be fine.
Yeah.
I have deer living on my property, so,
We all do.
anything that doesn't get eaten, stronger.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's why I have fencing to keep the deer out.
Member Johan, you want to
But the
continue?
property itself is not fenced.
Let's make sure, Member Johan, are you?
I was only going to say that if sometimes when we move forward, it's contingent on reaching an agreement with the planning department about how things get planted. And so it's not happening right this minute, but that's something that you would have to deal with in the future if there was an approval, right? Do you understand that you have to interact there to find out what it would take to plant that? Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before we get any further on that, I want to clarify the numbers we're talking about on the clearing and the revegetation. The survey that we have says your existing clearing is 14,318. And you said you're willing to do 1313. However, that doesn't jive with the re-veg plan and the survey. It's a larger number. What was it, 2254?
the notice, so the application is noticed as the applicant proposes to revegetate 2,254 square feet of the parcel.
That's incorrect.
I'm sorry, that's what's shown in the application on the survey. And so we work off of the surveys related to the application.
Survey
So-
says the existing clearing is 14,318 square feet, and the proposed clearing limit is 12,064.
Right,
So the
so
difference
that's
is
2,254 feet, not 1313. I just want to straighten that out.
Took the survey and not, I understand what the confusion is, if I may.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Thank you.
Initially, Janice was given a map from the planning department stating that the clearing was 14,000, right?
No, the aerial?
Yeah, that
It's
aerial.
13,000.
Oh, so it was stating, yeah, so this here from the town states that the clearing was in 1994, 13,000. So she was thinking the difference was from 13.
Right.
So that's where the confusion lies.
Oh.
We are asking for relief, and it is clear that you would like her to revegetate some amount of the property. The question is what kind of plants and how
Well,
much.
I don't know. The board is ready. I'd like to hear from the planning department.
Yeah, the planner, we'll go in some more of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have
hold
one
on,
question.
hold on.
Thank you. Just so I'm clear, what's being proposed in the shaded area on this survey is to revegetate,
2,254. It's on the survey.
right?
It's on the survey.
And that will leave still a remaining 2,064 square feet beyond the 10,000
Right.
maximum. And have you offered, in addition to what's shown on that survey, an additional 1,313?
It's what's on the survey.
I got you.
Sorry for the confusion.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to hear from planning.
I
Thank
want
you.
to hear from planning at this point.
Planning.
Good evening, Board. Sarah Lewis for the Planning Department.
Wherein,
Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I'm writing notes too.
I do. All right, as stated, this is a clearing variance application for 1 Gladstone Place in Montauk. This is an A residence within a water recharge overlay district with a lot area of 20,554 square feet. The most recent certificate of occupancy was issued in 1993 for a 1-story family residence of 1,496 square feet and a 264 square feet attached garage. Clearing calculations were not included on the 1993 survey. As mentioned, in 2022, a building permit was issued to install a generator, where the applicant then found out that they were over the allowable 10,000 square feet clearing limit at 14,318 square feet. The property owners, according to the survey, are proposing to revegetate 2,254 square feet, bringing clearing to 12,064 square feet, which is 2,064 square feet over the allowable clearing limits. The purpose of a water recharge overlay district is to provide additional regulations for properties located in areas where disproportionately large quantities of rainwater are recharged into and stored in the underground aquifer in order to help ensure the continued sufficiency and purity of the town's irreplaceable groundwater supply and sole source of drinking water. Protecting the town's sole source aquifer is very important, and it's precisely why there are stricter clearing restrictions within this district. The importance of this is reflected in the town's State Environmental Quality Review Act, Type 1 Action List, which requires that any variance to the clearing or fertilized turf restrictions set forth in the Water Recharge Overlay District requires a full Type 1 review under SECRA. The board established this as a Type 1 action and established lead agency at the August 5th 2025 work session. I just want to note, upon making a decision, the board will need to make a positive or negative declaration for this application. Clearing regulations for the Water Recharge Overlay District went into effect in December of 1984. The clearing on this property cannot be considered pre-existing non-conforming since the premises were vacant in 1984. Since the 1993 CO, it appears that an additional small portion of the lot has been cleared. I believe that's a little over 1,000 square feet. The planning department recommends that properties in this overlay be revegetated to the maximum extent possible, and variances only be approved when the only option available would be to demolish the existing structures in order to revegetate. For this application, there does not appear to be sufficient area that could be revegetated in order to have the parcel conform to the maximum clearing allowance of 10,000 square feet. However, there may be additional areas that could be revegetated in addition to this proposed to have the parcel be closer to this goal. I do have a sketch of that if the board would like to see it.
Can we put it up on the board?
Yeah.
Sure. Can we do that, please?
So this proposed additional re-veg would bring them to about 10,900 square feet of clearing. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
If I remember correct, I was on the property as well as I think all my fellow board members. And if I remember right, in that area, there's a row of mature, what are they, euonymus?
Yeah. Burning bush, it looks like. Yeah.
So those are pretty mature wooded plants, but the understory is removed. So in this case, are you talking about removing those and putting something else in, or are you talking about filling in the understory under the existing?
Yeah, so I think it would just be important to see a full re-veg plan and look at native, woody species. That would be beneficial to the water recharge overlay district in general.
So that, I'm sorry, Sarah, that adds how much more?
1,170 square feet approximately.
So what would bring
And
us
this is
down
just a sketch.
to,
That would bring them to about 10,900 square feet. So they would still be over the allowable 10,000 square
closer
feet.
to where they should be?
Closer, yeah.
Does the board have any additional questions?
Well, I'm curious about the species and all that too. They may be, they're not going to be mature plantings necessarily.
But
What
everything,
type of plantings can you?
right, would all be approved by the planning department.
Yeah,
if-
yeah, and we would work with the applicant on
Right,
that sort of thing.
right,
Right, because this is not a beach vegetation kind of thing.
right. No, no, no.
Exactly.
Because it would be
Woody.
compatible with water recharge overlay district. Okay.
Yes. Any other questions?
Any other
Is
questions?
this in the public file?
Yeah, I didn't see the sketch.
Yeah.
This was created today, so it's a last minute sketch, but I'll make sure that it's added to the file.
Thank you.
You just comment about, that's an area now with vegetation there. We talked about, Member Berger mentioned the species. Why is that not considered to be vegetated area? Just to make it clear for everyone.
Yeah, so I believe it's a bit of a gray area in the code as to what's considered clearing or not clearing, and it can depend on the surveyor as well. So I think that it's just the majority of that area would be considered cleared. I don't know. I would have to ask the surveyor specifically.
I think the code is pretty clear on it, that if you clear, even if you,
You'll have your chance again.
I think
In order to this.
as I've read the code.
Sure.
And we've discussed it many times on this board, right? It's just, if all the layers, aren't
Yeah,
there, if the
sure.
understory is gone, I'm not going to opine on, how anyone will feel about that, but like that it's considered.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions for Sarah?
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this application? Matt, do we have any callers?
Stand by, please. And this is Matt Chapman calling from LTV, making sure that all the lines are clear, which they are, and you have 0 additional callers. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Ms. Shera, would you like to readdress the board?
Thank you. As Ms. Wilson said, in that area that's being shown on the map, 1,170 square feet, that has mature trees. So your objective to have more vegetation and then say you'd have to remove this vegetation to put different vegetation would be objectionable. That would not be what you're supposed to be doing. The code says minimize clearing. In all their actions, local agencies shall minimize clearing and grading of natural vegetation. So why would it be that she would have to remove these euonymus trees to put different trees? That wouldn't make any sense for recharge. And I don't think you can really hide behind saying recharge when we're talking about vegetation that's mature there, recharging. I do have an environmental science degree, and I'm not sure that I agree that that's proper. So she's happy to do the vegetation that's been requested, but this additional area that was not discussed with my colleague and friend and homeowner is burdensome and significant. So we would ask for relief and not have to do something even worse than what she's being required to do now.
Does the board have any additional questions?
Well, just considering what was just said, there's a lot of gravel parking area by the house too that.
There's euonymus trees in this location?
Yeah, the euonymus trees, they're 30 years old. They
And she takes care
form
of them.
the border to the property, to the property line. No other fencing. They're beautiful.
I think I just want to clarify that we would want to, reestablish the understory, not necessarily clear the existing trees.
Correct.
Right.
We understand.
Okay.
Does the board have any additional questions?
No, I'm fine.
No.
Thank you.
All right, Member Berger, would you like to
Sure.
close the public hearing and record?
Ms. Shera, you're done, right? Yeah, you're done?
She is.
You heard her last comment, right?
Yes, she did.
All right, and the application, Janice Wilson at 1 Gladstone Place in Montauk, tax map 300-019-02-5050.3. Make a motion to close the public hearing and the public record.
Second it?
I concur.
Concur.
I concur. All right.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Elizabeth Alexandra Miller, 5 Gannett Drive, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-4-7-4. Description is to construct a 490 square foot swimming pool within minimum rear yard setbacks. One variance of 12 feet pursuant to 255-1110 of the East Hampton Town Code to construct a swimming pool 8 feet from the rear eastern lot line where 20 is required. Zoning district is B residence zoning, X flood zone, secret class type 2. Council, is the affidavit of service and posting in order?
Yeah, I reviewed the affidavits of notice and posting, and everything seems to be in order, and the board has jurisdiction over this hearing.
Who has
This is
this?
mine.
Okay, member Johan, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Here's a photo of the posting. It's posted clearly in front of the house. I've taken a look down Gannett. I'm looking eastward here. You can get a notion this is down in the Culloden subdivision. Next. Now I'm looking westward here, and where you can see we're coming up, we're heading out towards the harbor. Next. I look dramatically across the street just to show you the character of the neighborhood, the neighbor immediately opposite this property. Next. Work my way. This one of the significant things about the property is it's heavily vegetated. So if I'm looking down along the north edge of the property here, and you can see the juxtaposition of the vegetation and the existing house. Next. I'm coming around back. We're going to get several photos of this. People get a feeling for it, but you can see some of the, there's a rack there with surfboards. There's a deck beyond. You'll see it in a minute. And the back property line with the vegetation there. This area where we see the seating area is where the proposed pool is to be installed. Next. I've gone around the far side of the property now, and I'm looking back in the other direction. You can see the house. You can see the second floor deck. You can see the backyard. You can see those chairs that were there. Again, vegetation to the right is approximately along the property line, and that's the area that's now being proposed to accept the pool. Next. Just from that very same spot, kind of look back at the house. You can see the house. It's got some additions on it, you know, some decking and whatnot. And just to the right, right on the far edge there, again, that's where the pool would be, the juxtaposition to the house. Next. Oh, just to give you an idea, coming down the other side, I'm looking now from there, I'm looking down on this at along the east side of the house. And again, vegetation all the way around. This is pretty well screened in that sense. Next. I guess just one more. Let's look back. Here we are. This is the pool area that's proposed. Tall vegetation to the east and a house to the west. Next. I think that might be it. Oh, yeah. Just one more. That's fine. Next. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Lori Wiltshire for Land Planning Services, representing Lisa, and she was here with me today, and she may have a few things to say as well. So this is an application for a 12-foot variance in order to construct a 490 square foot pool, 8 feet from the rear property line where 20 feet is required. The original application was made by Swim King Pools and included an 1,100 square foot paver patio with a 7-foot rear yard setback, which is no longer proposed. Due to the location of the existing house and the second-story deck, which is supported by columns, the proposed pool has been located in as conforming a location as possible, given the existing constraints. The meandering deer fence shown on the survey has been removed. There's an existing 6-foot opaque wood fence along the rear of the parcel, which is not shown on the survey, and I do not know why. Granting this variance will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or produce a detriment to nearby properties. The pool, excluding the coping, is just 12 feet in width, and for all intents and purposes, a lap pool. And the property is very well screened from the neighboring properties, as you can see from the photos provided. The proposed pool equipment is nestled up against the back of the house and under the second-story deck, so will not require a variance or create a noise issue for the neighbors. There is no deck or patio associated with the proposed pool, so this will also ameliorate noise concerns in the area. In fact, we have 3 letters of support, which I handed to you, of the application. One, the immediate neighbor to the south, Mark Epstein at 11 Gannett Drive. He states, "I do not believe the proposed pool and its location will negatively affect the neighborhood." Another is from the neighbor directly across the street, Jennifer Driscoll at 6 Gannett Drive. She wrote, "I believe the pool will be a positive addition and not adversely affect the character of the neighborhood." And a third from the neighbor to the immediate north, John Macarone at 1 Gannett Drive, stating, "I have no objection to the pool variance being granted and am fully in favor of the board approving it." It should be known that the house behind Ms. Miller's home is owned by an LLC and has been unoccupied for years. This, according to Ms. Miller and Mr. Macarone next door. There are no objections in the file from that rear neighbor. The pool will not have an adverse impact on environmental or physical conditions in the neighborhood. The benefit sought can only be achieved without an area variance if the pool were to be constructed underneath the second-story deck. This would require re-engineering the deck to be cantilevered, as well as likely removing the hot tub and outdoor shower and relocating the stairs to the first-story deck. The hardship in this arrangement is that the pool would be in the shade all day long. So the place where she's proposing her pool is the most logical on the property, given the property's constraints and the support of her neighbors. If you have questions for me, please let me know. Does anyone else have anything to add?
Well, let's start with the board. Does the board have any questions?
No.
Still, are you gonna go? Go ahead.
Member Berger?
No, it's a large variance that they're asking for still, 12 feet.
Yes, but it is highly screened with fencing and vegetation.
But
We
in
have no objection.
255-850, we do have to look at whether or not the benefit can be sought by other means.
We cannot, I mean, yes, we can put the pool under the second-story deck.
There was no consideration to a smaller pool?
It's only 12 feet wide now. That's a very small.
But that's because of the constraints of the property.
Well, we could,
I mean, it's a 7,500 square foot lot, and the other pools in the area didn't require variances. They all met the variance standards.
That is correct. Those were actually, that is correct, but those houses were actually built closer to the road. In this instance, she's got a fairly large front yard and not a very large backyard. Plus, the front yard is a big slope. It's a big hill. Sorry, I want to answer your question about. So with a 12-foot wide pool and an 8-foot setback, there is no conforming location for a swimming pool in the backyard unless it was underneath the deck, even if it was smaller.
Is the pool to be 12 or 14 feet?
So it's 14 with coping. The pool itself is 12 feet wide, which is effectively a lap pool. And without any decking or pavers around it, you don't have the impetus for a party situation where noise is the primary concern, and that's the reason setbacks exist or doubled for pools. But with all this screening and no objection from the neighbor who would be most affected, I don't think it's a negative application.
Are we ready to hear from the planning department, or do you have any
I was
questions?
just going to say, but you know that talking about whether neighbors has any objection now doesn't follow through in the future. We don't know what a future neighbor would say about having a pool 8 foot from the property line. So it is a consideration for us. This is a large ask to have a pool only 8 foot from a property line. We generally are not favorable about this because we know that long term, we're going to have entertaining happen at the pool, and the whole idea of the zoning on this is to protect adjoining neighbors. I understand that you've got good support from the neighbors, and that's a positive, but we still have to consider the fact that we're only 8 foot from the property line, and I think it's a serious one here.
It is, but you can certainly distinguish this from another application that was to come before you asking for similar relief, in that this is so heavily screened and fenced and has the constraints of the house being situated further back on the lot, the large second-story deck. And by the way, my client was saying today, that the house is very small and the living area is very small, and then you have the bedrooms. So the deck is actually imperative to having actually a dining room when they use the house in the summer. So it's not like we can chop the deck off to move the pool back, and that's a consideration.
Thank you, Lori.
Mhm.
Are we ready to hear from the planning department?
Good evening, Board. Morgan Slater for the Planning Department.
Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. So 5 Gannett Drive is an undersized lot with an area of only 7,500 square feet within the Culloden Shores subdivision, where most of the lots are of identical or similar size to this one. The extent of the existing development on the property limits the options for a conforming swimming pool. The requested variance can be considered as substantial, and an 8-foot setback for the pool would be a 60% reduction in the required setback. There is no history of a yard setback variance being granted to construct a swimming pool in this part of town. So the board should be cautious about setting a precedent if the requested variance is granted, especially since there are other lots in the immediate area with similar size constraints. Essentially, the board needs to determine if the circumstances of this property are unique enough where it will not be setting a precedent that can be easily replicated. The point of the double setback in the code is to reduce the detriment to neighboring properties. So saying that there is no detriment to the surrounding properties kind of would undermine the purpose of the double setback in the first place. I can answer any questions the board may have about the property or its history.
Board, do we have any questions?
I don't.
I don't either. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address this application? Thank you. I'll swear you in, and then you can identify yourself. Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Anthony Sisinski. I live at 22 Gannett Drive. I'm one of Lisa's neighbors. I live south of Lisa. I moved there in 1992. I've lived there quite a number of years before Lisa had moved into the house. And we have a water problem on our road that should be known by the town. They have addressed the sewers over the years. We have a common drain so the water from our street runs from north to south because we have a common drain that runs down through the Culloden development. And so Lisa is north of me. And, you know, over the years with the other pool that they had at the house, I watched them drain it into the road, which drained into the sewer, which then went into our beach community. So one of my concerns is if you do allow a pool, where would they drain the water? Because that's what they had been doing with the previous pools that they've had at the house prior. They don't have a driveway. So the property is same as mine. It's 75 by 100. And most of the properties were leisure-ramas at the time. That property wasn't a leisure-rama. It's mostly fill, so it's elevated above us. And they're 200 feet from the water. So you only have Soundview Drive, and then you have the water. So during either storms or when the sewage is not running right, our Culloden Beach backs up on a heavy rain. It kind of pools up by my house. So without a driveway, and they commonly park in the street, without a place to walk their dog, because they have to use our yards to walk their dog, because the dog doesn't have a place to urinate or go to the bathroom on their property because there is no property. So as a neighbor, I'm just wondering if you allow her or any of my neighbors to overbuild the 75 by 100 to put a lap pool in when we live so close to the beach, and the town has just built a big, beautiful pool for us. I don't know if it's necessary for either myself or my neighbor to take over our street with water that is not going to go into their property. So when it rains, that water would generally go in, but if you have a pool there, you've removed that. So the over vegetation, there is no vegetation, it's just the neighbor's tree line. And I want Lisa to have her stuff. I'm not here to say she shouldn't have a pool. I'm saying is there is no space on her property. If a truck came and pumped the water out of the pool and took it away, we wouldn't have the problem of it, say, going into the sewer up the street, or if we have flooding. So that's what my concern is. And, you know, we all watch out for each other there. And if I was asking for something that was overbuilding my property, I live in a 1,000 square foot leisure-rama. It's not 2 or 3 stories like this small house is. Mine's a 1-story house. I believe that these houses, including the man next door who had a 1,000 square foot house, has a 3,900 square foot house now. So there is no order. And that's what I have to say to the board. And thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would, Lori, could you just wait a moment? Is there anyone else that'd like to address this application? Matt, do we have any callers?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
All right, Lori, thank you.
I would like to address the flooding area. So during COVID, Ms. Miller put in a blow-up pool, which they were using to entertain themselves. And that, because it was rubber and you couldn't leave it over winter, did have to be emptied. And that's unfortunate that it went down the street and actually to their neighbor's property. What's proposed now is an in-ground pool, which would be, you would pump it to a dry well, as we all know, because that's what we do with all pools. And you don't drain an in-ground pool entirely. You only take the top off the water so that the cover is resting comfortably on the remaining water. So that flooding issue is not of concern. It will be addressed by a dry well, which can certainly be a condition of approval.
Thank you. Board, are we?
I'm fine right now.
I'm fine.
Yes. Member Johan, would you like to make a motion?
On. Find where I put it. There it is. Then in the matter of Elizabeth Alexandra Miller, 5 Gannett Drive, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-4-7-4, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing and the public record at this time.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Okay, the next application is Susan Porter, 191 South Fairview Avenue, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-28-5-24. Description is to allow a new egress window, shed, and a replaced hot tub, decking, addition, and walkways to remain on a parcel of land containing and within setbacks of freshwater wetlands and within side yard lot line setbacks. A natural resource special permit pursuant to 255-420 of the East Hampton Town Code, and 6 variances are required for this application. 1 variance of 3 feet from 255-1110 of the Town Code is required to allow the deck to remain 17 feet from the eastern side yard lot line where a 20-foot setback is required. Variances of 45 feet, 28.5 feet, 25 feet, and 23 feet from 255-430 of the Town Code are required to allow the existing egress to remain 55 feet, shed 71.5 feet, hot tub 75 feet, and deck addition 77 feet from freshwater wetland where 100-foot setbacks are required and any other relief necessary. Zoning district is B residence zone, X flood zone, secret class is type 2. Council, do we have a affidavit of service and posting that's in order?
Yes, I reviewed the affidavits of notice and posting, and everything seems to be in order, and the board has jurisdiction over this hearing.
Member Berger, do you have your field inspection?
Yes, I do. This is the notice and posting. This is up away from the house, you can see the shape of the lot. So from the wetlands, which are to the right of that, their property continues down South Fairview for a way. Next. And that's another shot I took in the other direction, showing going up to the house, same posting, just showing the rest of the property. Next. I went up to the deck, and this is a shot from the southern part of the deck. I guess it's southern. My directions got messed up on this one.
I'm directionally challenged myself.
Southern to south to north. No, north to south. I'm sorry, north to south on this. Next. Now I went down to the other end and took a shot down in the other direction because I want to know exactly which part of the decking is needing the variance, but I believe we'll get to it. Next. Okay, just shot there's another area that I don't think existed before, but you can see the steps and then this planting area that's up there going in the direction of another house, which it's in progress and being built, will be a near neighbor. Next. This is a shot of the shed and the edge of the decking. Next. This is the shot of the hot tub that is in question, along with the shed where the net is hanging. And next, it's on the opposite side of the property going northeast. This is going north and I think it's east. But you see the egress from the basement that requires one of the variances. Next. And there's a PVC pipe sticking out of the ground there, and I'd like the agent to, took that for you, the agent to explain what that's doing, and I believe that's it.
Thank you, Member Berger. Joel, are you here to speak on behalf of the application? Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, and I'll start off by telling you I have no idea what that PVC pipe is for, but I will find out for you if you'd like. Good evening, Chairwoman Savarese and board members. Joel Halsey on behalf of the Lighthouse Land Planning, representing Susan Porter, the property owner for the property located at 191 South Fairview in Montauk. Hopefully I can be brief with this one because the proposed project is similar, if not less substantial than a project that was already approved on this property. The hot tub, or by town definition, the pool, is only 7.5 feet by 7.5 feet, replacing a smaller 6 foot by 6 foot hot tub. The pool approved in 2018 was 8 feet by 17 feet. Since this is a hot tub, but technically a pool, the decking now must meet greater setbacks than the previous deck. It is, for all intents and purposes, the same deck that was existed in 2018 application, which always had a smaller hot tub in it. The structure is located on the landward side of the house and poses no threat to the wetland system. This goes for the same for the small 17 square foot shed on the deck and egress window. The egress was added as a safety feature to the lower level. The basement egress is up a narrow set of stairs and out of the house. There is no intent to add bedrooms on this level at this time, and if there was, this would require a building permit and trigger the need for a sanitary upgrade. To that point, the potential for an increased intensity of use on this property could be a potentially beneficial benefit to this area. The sanitary system is currently a septic system built in the 1980s, so it contains a tank and adequate leach field. If a bedroom is ever to be added to the lower level, they would need to upgrade the sanitary system and possibly apply for another natural resource special permit to add another means of egress to the lower level. The reasoning would be by either the current egress would be used for the bedroom that exists now. They'd have to create another egress for a finished lower level because you need a means of egress for the bedroom and a second means of egress, or two means of egress for the finished lower level, being three means of egress altogether. Or alternatively, a new egress would be required for the bedroom, maintaining the same two means of egresses for the existing house now. The application more than meets the variance standards of the town code as followed it and outlined in the memo I submitted to the board last week. And at this time, if the board has any questions other than the PVC pipe, I'd be happy to answer them.
Board members?
Terry, you?
Well, the decking, is that the decking that's right around the hot tub? Is that what got extended out or?
Yeah, slightly, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
'cause the hot
slightly
tub
squared
got
off.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And the shed, that's all, okay. All right.
The location of the previously approved pool,
Exact same spot,
what's that?
same spot.
Same spot.
Yeah, it's in the existing conditions. You showed the previous one.
So is the new decking 17 or 14 feet?
Yeah, that was my question.
The new decking's around well, the shed's 14, the new decking is right around the hot tub here.
I see.
Kind of squared
So
off.
it's a shed that's 14 feet from the
Yeah.
property line. And
But the shed is on the deck, so that's and it would also be helpful if the actual things that are noticed could be shown with their,
With the dimensions?
yeah,
Okay.
not the dimensions, the dimension of the shed is, I think, stated somewhere. I mean, generally, we would see on the survey how far things are from the wetlands, how, the sort of missing. And then the pool that was permitted, the 136 square feet, is the applicant foregoing that pool now?
Yes, so they're not going to do that. Pool.
Okay, so.
That's all they want. They want this hut.
Okay. So I guess I'll ask the planner just to clarify the kind of what part of the deck counts now as a pool deck, because I don't know if it's the whole deck, which would mean it wouldn't meet 20, I want to ask,
Well, technically, the whole deck would be, I guess, considered a pool deck.
right, so then how come it doesn't need variances to the other lot line?
Well, we'll wait for the
Yeah,
planning
that's what I'm
department to
saying, yeah.
address that.
Okay.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel. Tyler, can we hear from you?
Tyler Borsak for the planning department.
Do you affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Just to address the question, I asked the building department months ago when we first got it, and they said that it wouldn't need it over on that side. I don't know if it was that it was far enough away or what the reasoning was, but I got clarification on that before moving
What
forward.
side?
You're talking about where it says 15
The
feet?
deck on the northwest side of the lot didn't need to request a variance for the setbacks there.
Because,
Northwest corner.
I'm not certain.
15 foot, that's on the survey. 15 is the,
I mean, do they have some sort of standard that says when it's far enough away?
I didn't get that far on it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
is it
just
14
run
or-
through some
I'm sorry.
information quickly. Joel covered most of it really well, so there's not much for me to say. The residence was built in the early 1980s to the south and west of a wetland on the property. That wetland essentially divides the irregular shaped parcel in half. Since the southwestern portion of the property was chosen for development, the eastern side of the property has remained vegetated and provides valuable wildlife habitat and cover. The wetlands within jurisdiction are part of a much larger wetland system around the golf course and likely impact Fort Pond. It can also be assumed that it provides all the benefits typically associated with high quality wetlands, especially the attenuation of floodwaters and runoff during rain events. All the structures were already discussed. I don't need to go over them in depth. The hot tub, or it's considered a swimming pool because the town code considers anything over 6 feet in width or length to be a swimming pool. It's roughly the same location was approved in 2018. That swimming pool was 8 feet by 17 feet. This is 7.5 by 7.5, so obviously smaller. And then the additional decking that was constructed around it, which is about 60 square feet. That pushes that then to need to meet a double setback. That double setback is because it's considered a swimming pool, not a hot tub. The shed, the deck extension, swimming pool, and new basement egress all require variances from the minimum wetland setbacks as well. None of the variances appear to be very significant, with the amount of decking being very minimal. The swimming pool, a small change from 2018 approval. The shed, very small at 17 square feet, and the egress window, a slight change to the footprint of the building. And the walkway was essentially replacing existing walkways in the same relative location. Joel discussed the implications of potentially future living living space in the basement, requiring a sanitary system upgrade, which would potentially alleviate any concerns with the egress window then allowing for additional use of the basement. That would be the main concern, I think, with the application is what does that egress window eventually allow and how could we mitigate that, which he addressed, and that would be for your discussion at that point. Other than that, I can answer any questions you might have.
So in the TAM, you recommend a scenic easement around the wetland?
It was just a discussion about what could you possibly, I don't think the amount of work rises to that level, but it was just a discussion of what could be utilized, not a suggestion of one.
Okay.
I don't think there's really any area for re-veg that would do any significant benefit. I mean, it's pretty well vegetated around the wetland as it is. So a scenic easement would be really the only significant thing, but I don't think the level of construction rises to that level either.
At this point, okay.
Yeah.
And basically the improvements that they're seeking for relief for here are on the opposite side of the house from where the wetlands are.
Right. It's not significant impacts that we identified.
Okay, thank you.
I have.
Go ahead, member Merrick.
I'm looking at the southern corner of the property.
Right.
There's like a gravel area there. And if I'm reading the survey correctly, it appears that that gravel area extends onto the neighboring property. And I don't know whose fence that deer fence is, but I mean, why do they have can that gravel area be removed on the other person's
There's
property?
not much that we can do about it. It's a civil issue between neighbors. There's not much that we have control over on that front.
Anybody else?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Joel, would you like to address?
One quick question, if I get
Oh,
clarification.
one moment. Thank you, Ed. Matt, do we have any callers?
You have 0 callers. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Joel?
If I could just get clarification as to where that PVC pipe was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fast.
Where on the property was that PVC pipe?
It was right out in front of the egress,
Here somewhere.
a couple of feet out.
By
Yeah.
the egress, okay.
Yeah.
I'll find it and figure it
Oh,
out.
okay. Oh, I thought you had an
I'll
answer.
let Tyler.
I thought you got on the hotline and got the answer.
Okay.
Okay, have a great night, guys.
Thank you very much. Like to have a motion?
Yes, an application of Susan Porter at 191 South Fairview Avenue, Montauk, tax map 300-028-05-24. Make a motion to close the public hearing and the record.
Concur. I think, member Johan. Oh, no. who's it?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Member Johan seconded. Okay, we're moving on to post-hearing decisions. We are going to cancel Stephen and Judy Capano Michelson until next week. Member Berger, do we have a motion on the minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals for September 16th.
Second.
Concur.
Moving on to resolutions, Lands End Marina, 386 Westlake Drive, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-12-1-1 to 14 and 15.
Yes, that was mine. The board will remember this one. It was recently, it was a 5-0 approval. This was an effort to create some new parking, a bathhouse to improve drainage, and it met with our approval. We thought it was an intelligent approach to utilizing this area. It's in Coonsfoot Cove, which is terribly overdeveloped previously, but this was not going to do any more than previously had been done to the area. So there was the easement placed over the wetlands to the east, and there's a new septic system. It all came in line with something that we approved. So in the matter of Lands End Marina, 386 Westlake Drive, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-12-1-1 to 14 and 15, I'd like to make a motion to accept the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
Christopher Leonard, 406 Old Montauk Highway, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-22-1. 3.2.
Okay, this was mine. Okay, this was a modification. Actually, council picked up a number of items that needed modifying, but this was a modification, the fact that the applicant was not revegetating per the revegetation plan that was approved. And then there were some other small items that council picked up. It is a modification that was approved by the board. So for Christopher Leonard at 4060 Montauk Highway, Montauk, tax map 300-22-1-3.2, make a motion to approve the modification as written.
Second?
Concur.
Say that.
Concur.
Next is 376 Bleecker Street LLC modification, 78 Seaside Avenue, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-32-7-23.1. Whose is this?
So council or, well,
Council? No.
well, it was,
Council brought
it
this
was a
to us?
modification
This
to
was,
an old,
Brian Frank brought this to you
Right.
guys.
Oh, right,
It
right,
was
the
probably
one
like a
down
month
Seaside.
ago.
right.
Seaside Avenue.
It was
Yeah, I
there
read
was a slight change in the orientation of the structure on the property, so it just kind of like changed the variances. It moved. There's two wetlands, so when the house slightly moved, one variance is bigger, but one is smaller, so it was kind of just like a net nothing.
Member Johan, you want to make a
Okay,
motion?
fine. Then in the matter of 376 Bleecker Street LLC modification, 78 Seaside Avenue, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-32-7-23.1, I'd like to make a motion to approve this determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Concur. Is that right? Determination?
Modification.
Modification.
This modification, you want me to read it again? Modification is
That's
written.
okay.
You're
We'll
fine.
amend it.
I'm fine.
All right,
He said I'm
so
fine. He's counsel.
the next one, I wasn't here. This was on September 9th. I didn't make this decision. So I'm going to give this to Member
Where is that?
Thorson.
I believe,
Did you make this decision? You
yeah,
did.
I was, I
Yes,
did
you
vote
were.
on this. I think the lead was Member
Roy.
Deline.
Yeah, but he's not here, so
Yep, yep.
you're going to be the lead.
So from memory, this was, I believe, approved unanimously. It was to approve a stone wall
Yeah.
that ran along a driveway and I think a fence as well.
Yeah, fence and gate were in RSP jurisdiction.
Right, yeah. So the approval was unanimous.
Yeah.
So
I'd
you want to
like-
make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the determination as
Read the-
written
Read the stuff on.
regarding
Be nice.
Goldstein and Borzon, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-74-5-2.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Member Johan, would you like to make an adjournment motion?
Sure, thank you.
You wanted to go.
No, I didn't.
Time it is up. You can tell me what
You don't
time
want
it
to
is.
change?
737.
I would like to make a motion to close the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals public hearing for September 23rd, 2025 at
737.
7:37 PM.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Thank you, Matt.